Okay, so welcome to episode 1. We are 25 years in to the Constitutional Baseball Association here. And let's see what has happened. We'll first look at the standings, then we'll look at the Hall of Fame, then we'll look at some other stuff. But for now, those are the things we're looking at. So it looks like the New York Generals and Phoenix Sun Sox would end up winning the New York Generals would end up winning the American Association pennant, while the Seattle Seals would win the National Association. As you can see, the league has expanded quite a lot, actually, and it looks like they're going to expand by 2 teams again, adding the Denver Winterhawks and the El Paso Bass. Now, looking at the playoffs, the Dallas Chiefs won the World Series. And now, the Dallas Chiefs, here's their lineup. They're led by Greg Corbin, who looks like he won the 1930 MVP, so that's good for him. That needs to be in case you can't tell. And now let's look at the Hall of Fame voting history. So there have been some Hall of Famers. The first 2 were elected in 1922, with Jason Bartlett elected to the Hall of Fame, along with Jacob Hester, or Jason Bartlett, yeah, and Jacob Hester. And after that, there's then Austin Snow. Then there is Jaden Gardner. Then there is, in 1924, both of them are inducted. And then in 1925, Jim Etner, a right fielder, was elected to the Hall of Fame. And there is Chad McGraw, who was elected pretty heavily here. He pretty much played the start of his career with the Generals, where he was the most successful. Then he headed to Philadelphia, then he kind of played with a couple of teams to end off his career. Then you have Nick Uhas. He played for Boston his whole career, the Boston Independents. And then you have Brian Reese, who played for Charlotte and Nashville. Anyway, I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, so while I'm back, I had to take a quick bathroom break. And yeah, the camera, it always makes my face a little bit darker. I don't know why it does that. Okay, now it's better, but yeah. But as you can see, Jason, those are all the Hall of Famers. I go into a little bit of detail over the ones that were elected with over 90%, which there are only 2 of. I already went with Chad McGraw. Now we have Jason Bartlett, the first ever CBA Hall of Famer. Or technically, we'll say, or technically the first CBA Hall of Famer. He won 3 Pitcher of the Year awards, which I might name after him. I don't know. Yeah, so he won 3 Pitcher of the Years. He won Action and NA MVP. He won a Great Glove Award of pitcher, not like that really matters. And also looking at it, yeah, that's pretty much about it. 8 point. So 25 seasons in, a lot of stuff has happened. Now let's look at the sort of a Hall of Fame. Looking at the players, we only have 2 batters elected in Nick Uhas, elected him from the Boston Independence team, which as you can see do still exist, and you have the Houston Hounds who elected Jim Etner. Houston also still exists. They're a very, I guess, historic team, because I saw early on they were doing pretty well. Yeah, they had a pretty much a little bit of a dynasty there, however. Haven't really done that well since. They've just kind of been mediocrity ever since, I guess you could say. And looking at starting pitchers, I think the rest of them are starting pitchers, yeah. The New York Generals still exist, obviously. I want to see if any of these teams no longer exist. It looks like all of them still exist, to my knowledge. Because I guess, I don't know. But the league did expand. I'm not sure if any team relocated. I will check that. Now because I do see that some teams did end up doing pretty interesting things here. We'll look at the champions in a second, but looking at our years, The league expanded, looks like, 3 times. The first time they added the Phoenix Sun Sox, which, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense, though I'm not sure I really like the Phoenix Sun Sox name. And then the Austin Railhawks. They then added the Detroit Killer Whales. And, I got to restart it. The Detroit Killer Whales and the San Diego Rockies. And then lastly, you had the Baltimore All-Stars and the San Francisco Acorns added in 1926. Now, looking at it, the Phoenix Sun Sox are now pretty good. I want to look at the franchise record here. Because they've added actually a lot of teams, in my opinion. They've added 16, not just 3, obviously. The Redbirds, it looks like, do they have a logo? It says they don't here, but whatever. The Redbirds haven't done that well. They've only won a singular title, so we'll see if they're able to bounce back, I guess. For who has the most championships, it's 8 championships for the Seattle Seals. Kind of really a lot when you think about it. Look at the league history in a minute. I kind of already spoiled it because I showed it a little bit, but yeah. Second place team, in my opinion, is the Boston Independents. 11-3. Actually, no. I guess we'll do the Houston Hounds. Or really, it depends on if you prefer how many playoffs they've had or the minimum. I don't know. And then tied for second, I guess, is the Chicago Americans, Boston Independents, and Houston Hounds. Tied for third is the Phoenix Sun Sox, were actually added as an expansion team, making them actually probably the most successful expansion team here. And then you have the Nashville Notes. And after that, you have the Toronto Leafs, the Dallas Chiefs, LA Redbirds, New York Generals, and Philadelphia Keystones, along with 1 title. And then after that, we then have after the teams with no title, there's quite a lot of them. Most of them, I'm guessing, are expansion teams. Yeah, a lot of them are. However, there have been some teams. Also, looking at El Paso is a relocation team. We'll see where they originally were in a minute. I think it might have been Austin. I don't know. Never mind, Austin Railhawks. But I think I might have put it. Actually, no. Was it Houston? Well, we'll see. But I think it was Houston. Whatever. And then there is the obviously the Denver Winterhawks and El Paso Bass have never won a title. It says they've been around since 1905. I don't think that's true. Yeah, because when they go to their history, it says yeah. So actually, no, there has only been a couple of teams. Looking at it, yeah, the only team that has not won a title in their... Actually, I have to sort it again, I think. Sort like this to make it easy. To begin, there is the Austin Railhawks, who have had 2 playoff appearances, no championships. The Detroit Killer Whales, 2 playoffs, no championships. El Paso Bass are an expansion team that the league is going to add, so yeah. Ignore the date here, I think it's wrong. I think it is just 1930 and onwards. So, yeah, there you go. Then the Atlanta Aces are our, I think, first team here who has never won a title, even with them being a founding member. They made the playoffs 5 times and never made it, or at least they've never won it, I guess. And then there is the San Diego Rockies, an expansion team. Also, I think a fun fact, or not so fun fact, I guess, about the Sun Sox, the Railhawks. The Sun Sox were added along with the Railhawks, and obviously one has been much better than the other there. And after that, there is then, okay, I think it's sorted a little bit differently, but yeah, then there's the Detroit Killer Whales with 2 playoffs, no champions, 2 playoff appearances, no championships. St. Louis Stars, another inaugural founding member, 4 playoffs, no championships. Atlanta Aces, we already talked about these for expansion teams. San Francisco Acorns, no playoffs, no championships. And then Baltimore All-Stars, no playoffs, no championships. And the last thing we'll do is we'll look and see where the Seattle really did very well. And it looks like we found that they did very well. Well, they kind of did well at separate pairs. They first won 2 times. Seems like they usually win in pairs. But yeah, they won their first title in 1910 pretty early on. Then they won in 1913 and 1914. Then they won in 1917 and 18. Then they won in 1921. So actually, I was wrong. These two are not in pairs. And then lastly, after a while, they won in 1928 and 1929. In case you're wondering, last year in 1930 they finished 94 and 68, where they did make the playoffs. However, KNC lost in the wild card or league championship series to the Dallas Chiefs. Anyway, that's probably it. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.